Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new Ninjago video here on the channel. My name is TannerFishies. In today's video, we are going to be discussing some new interesting pieces of lore and history established for Ninjago Dragons Rising, and I guess the entirety of Ninjago just in general. Now, this information comes courtesy of a recent issue of the Ninjago magazine, which is a thing. I've talked about the Ninjago magazines at several points in videos past, and like I've said before, I do not get these magazines in my country. Unfortunately, they do not release over here. And also, with that being said, a lot of these magazines do have questionable accuracy in terms of how canon they actually are. Some magazines include comics that are very obviously canon to the events taking place in the show, but other comics, not so much. The comic that we are going to be discussing in today's video, though, I feel like does work in terms of Ninjago canon, and this comic is called First Try. So the comic begins. Long after the triumph over the Crystal King, something incredible happened. The Merge. This huge event united all 16 Ninjago realms. Lloyd is now taking his first steps in this bizarre new world. And yeah, so the comic is from the perspective of Lloyd, and we do see a lot here that is reiterated from the Dragons Rising show, like Lloyd reacting to the Merge. He does reference the other ninja, though, and obviously this is before Lloyd would find most of the ninja. Lloyd mentions that he and the other ninja were separated from each other in the Merge, and we see this nice group shot of the original 6 ninja in their core suits. I do love the core suits. I especially like seeing Jay. He's just, nonchalant, doesn't really care about much. He's scattered to the winds, but at least he's staying positive, right? The power of positive thinking. But anyway, the perspective of this comic does shift from Lloyd to Eren and Sora, like I mentioned, and the rest of the comic pretty much explains a mech race that they have against Creel, and that's all fine and dandy, not really interesting to me. But what is interesting about this part of the comic, they end up meeting with what is presumably Scalador, the general of the Constricti tribe of Serpentine, and he is actually at Creel's junkyard trying to sell Eren and Sora a rundown mech, which apparently belonged to one of the famous ninja. Eren recognizes it as the fire mech of Kai. And we see this quick flashback here where Eren mentions that Kai used his fire mech to defeat countless stone samurai back in the day, as we see this image of Kai in what is Cole's core mech, technically, if the Ninjago core shorts are anything to go off of, battling stone warriors. Yeah, so all things considered, this mech right here, despite being drawn the wrong way, is supposed to be Kai's old fire mech from the final battle saga. He also used it during season 5 to climb the Wailing Alps alongside the other ninja in their mechs. And I like this connection. It's a great way to tie Dragons Rising back into the older Ninjago series. Not to mention, I love Kai's fire mech. It's one of my favorite Ninjago mechs just in general. Love the original set, love the design in the show. Unfortunately, like I said, the magazine doesn't really draw the right one, but I assume they mean that this is supposed to be Kai's original fire mech, since that was the one that he battled the Stone Army in. In terms of why it's in Creel's junkyard now, well, following possession, it tumbled down the mountain, got damaged. Who's to say it could not have been picked up by scavengers or something like that, maybe brought to Creel's junkyard, or maybe it remained at the foot of the Wailing Alps until the Merge happened and the Merge put it in the crossroads. Who knows? Either way, Kai's fire mech is here, and I really enjoyed that reference because, again, that is one of my favorite Ninjago mechs. And that's pretty much it for all of the history tie-in stuff. However, there is one more interesting thing that I would like to talk about regarding this comic in particular. There actually exists an unused version of the first page that has a lot of familiar faces just kind of roaming about the background. Let's jump to that really quick. Okay, so here we have what is essentially the first page of this comic. You can see a whole bunch of different people in the background there. First of all, I do want to say, right down here, that looks to be Mr. Garmadon, or someone that looks rather similar. He's wearing the original Bone helmet, so that's interesting to note, I guess. Could very well just be someone else. Not sure what this guy is doing over here. Obviously there's Lloyd. This skeleton guy is super excited to see this guy, and right down there, that looks like Master Wu, or at least the season 13 Master of the Mountain version of Master Wu. Again, these are obviously placeholders. Some other characters in here make a little bit more sense, like I'm pretty sure that's a Nindroid back there, a couple of other civilians. Look at that guy's beard. But anyway, oh, not to mention we have this Anachondri here. Good for him. But the original version of this first page, as seen here, features a little bit more of an interesting cast of characters. I think the most obvious ones are probably the Chima characters that appear here. Now, my Chima knowledge is a little rusty, but here we have, I believe that's Eris the Eagle, and up here we have a lion, what is presumably Lavelle, though to my knowledge, I'm not sure if there are any specific characterizations that suggest that this is Lavelle. I mean, he looks like just a generic lion. That looks more like Eris. But long story short, originally these characters were going to appear in this comic, but they were scrapped. Not sure why. Again, this is the prototype page. This is the final page. Those characters are very much missing here. Again, not sure why they were removed unless Dragons Rising has specific plans for these characters in the future, and maybe the comic people were told, hey, don't include those characters, we have plans for them later. Would not make any sense for them to appear here. And I could totally see that happening. Remember, at this year's Comic-Con, some Ninjago writers were asked specifically about Chima showing up in Dragons Rising. They said that it's possible, and there are characters that could appear. Maybe these two characters will appear. But either way, them being here, I mean, it makes sense, right? Chima is a part of the wildness, and following the merge, every single realm is now just one, so naturally the Chima characters would exist in the same plane as the Ninjago characters. I do kind of wish that this wasn't scrapped, because I think this is a neat little reference, but yeah, they are not in the final version. And down here, again, we can see a lot of similar things happening here compared to the final product, except this is more obviously supposed to be Garmadon here now. Again, same bone helmet thing. We can very much see that that is Garmadon's face. That is his famous scowl. Again, could just be a placeholder, but that Garmadon is still here. Then again, that one's facing away from us, so who knows who that Garmadon is. The Master Wu here does not look as Master Wu-esque as the final version, but down here, again, that is very obviously supposed to be Garmadon. Though it wouldn't really make much sense for Garmadon to be here. Maybe that's why he was changed to the final, or changed in the final version. What is he in the final? Oh, just some lady. Yeah, that's not Garmadon. That's still Garmadon, though, and that's obviously Master Wu. I feel like, though, the Garmadon facing away from us is a little bit easier to distinguish as just like someone else, maybe just like a random cosplayer, but that's very obviously Garmadon. Again, would not make any sense for Garmadon to be here. He could be in the crossroads. As far as we know, he's like right under the noses of the ninja, but Lloyd is right here, doesn't really seem to be acknowledging Garmadon in any way. So who knows? I think all things considered, this was a very similar situation to that of the Chima characters, where Dragons Rising has future plans for these characters, and having them appear here in the crossroads just would not make much sense at all. So with that being said, guys, that'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leave all of your thoughts down below regarding this comic. Again, if it is even canon, what do you think about the new lore established here, the new history involving Dragons Rising and the earlier Ninjago series? And what exactly do you think about the unused concept page featuring several characters from Chima and possibly even Garmadon himself? Leave all your thoughts down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed this one, feel free to like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys again very, very soon. Peace.